Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer, welcome back to Farming Simulator 19, and welcome back to Ravenport Farm. And I guess we're trying to continue getting this sorted out, and maybe Giants is trying to continue getting this sorted out. Like right now we've got a combine harvester on a worker. It's got the backup beeper on. It's not backing up. You know, little bugs like that, I have to say, I'm not bothered by things like that. That's all part of a new game. And there are going to be circumstances that players come across that just didn't come up in testing. It's not that big a deal. You know, some of my bigger gripes with the game are things that I feel obviously would have come up in testing. And I'll continue to believe that this game was kind of slam dunked for the holidays. But you know what? I get it. I'm a capitalist. I like money like anybody does, and I know you got to do what you got to do in business. And you know, I don't know the developers. Obviously, I don't know the developers, but who knows what their situation is? I mean, it could just be a cash grab. Maybe they just wanted the money, you know, a little do re mi. Could be that it was something they needed to do to keep the company afloat. You know, I've worked for plenty of clients that have done kind of desperate things to make payroll, so a bunch of people don't quit. You know, because when people don't get paid, they quit pretty quickly. You know, the first time the checks bounce, you're going to lose some employees. So, well, I've got the big hand turned on. I've got the heavy hand turned on, and it shares a control with get in the tractor. So I keep throwing my tractors. Right. So yeah, I'm figuring the game out, and it's weird because we all have so many hundreds of hours in Farm Sim 15 and Farm Sim 17 that you would think, oh, okay, you know, you just hop in 19 and off you go. And in many ways you do. After the controller issues got sorted out, I ended up back on the default controller settings that come with the game straight out of the box. And I realized that that's more or less what I was using going all the way back to 15. Like when I started playing FS15, I had no idea what I was doing, so I just went with the basic controller schema that comes with it. And I never really swapped anything out, so it's all very familiar to me. Good muscle memory after like 3 years, so no problems there. And what else? Yeah, I mean, in that way, you really do just hop in and start playing, but there are some things that have taken a little bit of getting used to, and there are some things that I don't ever think I'll get used to. I take that back. In time, I will get used to them because this is going to be our farm sim from here on out. But you know what I mean. There are some things that... I found a Reddit yesterday. And I guess the developers have straight up said now, we're not really looking to move toward realism. That's not our core audience. And I said that in a review video a few days ago. I feel like this game is built for casual console gamers, people that just want to come home from work, crack a beer, and drive around in heavy equipment, which in its base configuration, that's sort of what it is. Rather than farming simulator, it's more like messing about in diggers simulator, which is totally cool. Who doesn't like driving around in diggers? But as far as farming, to me, it's not very substantial with regards to planning, managing a budget, managing crops, and things like that. And I feel like there are a lot of things that they could have put in that could have been turned off. Seasons, as an example. Now seasons is big and complex, so maybe that's not something that they wanted to mess with. But things like crop rotation, you know, in the same way that there's weed, not weed. What are you saying? What are you implying? In the same way that there are weeds, in the same way that there is periodic plowing, I don't think it would have been a big deal to put in essentially crop rotation, which means that in the same way that you have to plow your fields every 2 or 3 seasons, every 2 or 3 harvests, that you would need to put a different crop in every 2 or 3 seasons, or you would get a reduced yield. That doesn't seem like a big comprehensive chunk of code. And if their position is, well, we don't want to make the sim too realistic because of our core audience, then my response would be just make it so you can turn it off. The same as plowing, weeds, right? A lot of other things. So, you know, it is what it is. And the fact is that I'm going to have to get used to it. It's not like I can call Giants and say, listen, fellas, Spreckens, you frustrated? You're going to need to fix some things for old Sweet William here. That's not going to happen. I get that. So it's up to me to get used to it, and I will. All right, this is me not throwing the tractor around. You just got to turn sideways. If you got the big paw, it'll throw it. But no paw, hop right in. So I was running all John Deere. I swapped everything over to Case. I do want to take a look at some of the equipment. Most of it is carried over from 17. You know, what can you do? What can you do? There's some new stuff. It'll, I don't know, get fixed in time. There you go. Spread some lime, son. So it's up to us. It's up to me to get used to it. And I am. And I'm coming around to it. Now, there are some things that this kind of bothers me, I have to say. This American map, there's just trash and decay and chaos everywhere on this map. And initially I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's it. But it's kind of getting on my nerves now. As an American, I feel like there's some pretty heavy subtext there about Americans. I could be totally wrong about that, and it's not that big a deal either way. But I have to say, I'm a little bit offended by the fact that the American map, there's just junk and debris and collapsing infrastructure everywhere. Okay, it's not quite that bad yet. And we did walk on the moon. So, you know, I mean, admittedly, that was a couple of years ago, but you know what I'm saying. So that is one thing. Also, almost threw the tractor again. Also, a couple days ago, I made a video because I've been really struggling with my graphics. I've been struggling with them, and I feel like this game can have, from one angle, this is just the same old Giants engine. It's FS19 with new textures and a hell of a lot of bloom added. It's just got reshade in it. Okay, well, nothing wrong with reshade. But I feel like, even though, in my opinion, Giants dropped the ball, I feel like looking at this sim like, all right, maybe the graphics aren't that bad. Maybe I need to do some things to make it look as good as you would think that a tuned-up game would look. So I have been playing quite a bit, and I did find a sweet spot. You got to be able to find a sweet spot in this life. I think you know what I'm saying. I found a sweet spot, and I made me a video just to say, hey, you know, I understand everybody's kind of down on the graphics, but if you play a little bit, you can find a sweet spot, you know, and then you found the sweet spot. And I was worried when I was making that video and posting it that people were going to think it was clickbait. And sure enough, I was getting some downvotes. And, you know, I'm a sensitive cat. I am. Not a fan of downvotes. I mean, who really is? But, But I felt like, yeah, this didn't work out the way I wanted it to. I just wanted to let people know, hey, these graphics can be pretty impressive if you know, do your thing. And I did do my thing, and this is what I got. But apparently it was coming off like clickbait. Like people thought it was set up or something. You know, how to set your graphics up for FS19. And, oh God. There we go. So I did delete that video. I don't do that too often. I think in the whole time that I've been doing this, I've deleted maybe 1 or 2 videos. But I deleted that one. I don't want to clickbait anybody. I hate that. I hate it. So, AI, as you can see, is still Farm Sim AI. Now, just skip that part, buddy. We don't want to do the whole field. What kind of operation you think we're running here? However, it is, it will save you time. It will save you some time, faux show. And I will, let me get down here. I want to show you the map. And I've got some questions about the economy in this sim. In this version of this sim. See, look at this over here, more junk. My neighbor's house has a giant hole in the roof. Come on, man. I mean, we tend to be a little bit excitable here in America, but we're not lunatics. Ain't nobody gonna get down with a hole in their roof. So, yeah. And something else that baffles me, in fact, we'll stay in car. I say in car, I mean it is a tractor, but you know what I mean. We'll stay in cab. In this map in particular, I'm not trying to make you motion sick right now, I just wanted to get turned around. In this map in particular, especially down in this little valley where we are right now, right down to the south and southeast part of the map, there's really no clear way to get into these fields. I mean, you can drive through the bushes, but there's no little track. And again, you know, if this was a real farm, you would probably pull into the field approximately the same way every time you needed to get in there. And in time, you would wear away all the grass and all the bushes, and there'd be a little dirt track to get to the field. There is nothing like that for these fields, specifically just on this part of the map. And, you know, the absence of details like that kind of, I don't want to say confuses me, but yeah, maybe you could say confuses me. Like, what? Come on, man. So the chaos, the debris, the things falling apart, you know, it's not like they just knocked a section out of a wall and called it good. Like, it is intentionally trashy on this map. So like right over here, you got your cones, you got your little cement mixer. This is obviously meant to be an area that is being worked on. So it's not like they just knocked a section out of the wall. This is deliberate trash. And I don't know, man. I don't want to read too much into it. Maybe it means nothing, but like I said, I feel like it means something. And being an American, I'm hoping it doesn't mean what I think it means, because you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm going to let the combine harvester run for a minute, and I'm going to come over here, see like this gangster, a bunch of tires stacked up in the front yard and a hole in the roof. Okay. So what you would do, if you were really an American, what you would do is put a giant tarp on the roof and weigh it down with the tires. But that's just me. So, you know what? I'll get down here and then I'll show you, because it'll make more sense when we have a visual aid. That's what I'm talking about. So, a little valley. This water pump right here, I mean, call it a windmill, but it is technically, again, in America, that is a wind-powered water pump. It doesn't turn. And there's another windmill on the map. It's like an old Dutch windmill on another part of this map, and it does turn. The flag waves. You know, you could have made that windmill turn. So right here, normally this would be 3 fields. I plowed these fields together. I plowed them together to give us a bigger field. And when we look at our map now, here we go. When we look at our map now, 24, 25, and 26 are one big field. 19 has always been a field. 23 has always been a field. I'm going to plow together 21 and 22 in time. But these fields right here, 19 and 23 through 26 I planted with canola. And then 18 and 20 through 22 I planted with soybeans, because those are probably the most profitable, like, base crops. But here's the thing. We have 30,000 liters of canola right now. If we sell it at the restaurant, we get 21 grand for it. And we have 20,000 liters of, I'm sorry, we haven't even brought anything in yet. We have 0 liters of soybeans. But all of these fields may give us 20,000 liters. So back here, 20,000 liters at, say 1,000, just to make the math easy. At €1,000 per 1,000 liters, we will get 20 grand. So for all of this, we'll get maybe 40,000 euro for a season. And we have to subtract from that all of our consumables, right? So our seed, our fertilizer, our lime, our herbicide, fuel, and maintenance on the vehicles. We're probably going to spend 20 or 25,000. So when you think about the land, right? Something like this one, 137,000. You're talking about a couple seasons, more than that, maybe 4 or 5 seasons of just grinding down here to have enough money to begin to expand into the size of fields that can actually make you money. And then on top of that, there's no place that I've really found big enough to put down a big animal operation. Wrong one. This one right here. Other than right up here. I think this could work. This is a big flat area, but the size of the big dairy, the size of the big pig enclosure, and the size of the big sheep meadow would like eat this area up. And then we would need to place other buildings up here as well. We probably want to place our farmhouse and maybe another barn, some decorative stuff, sheds, etc. So this entire area would be sort of given over to, right? And we're at 680. So 1.1 million. So call it 1.5 million. So 1.5 million euro to get this hilltop area going so that we would have enough flat space to put down animal ops. So I guess what I'm getting at is I feel that the economy is a little bit off, or this game really is just intended to be playing with diggers. And I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way, but I feel like in its base sandbox configuration, like we're playing right now with very few mods, there's no functional mods at all. The only mods that I have are tractors and weights and things like that. But as far as course play or seasons or more realistic, no functional mods at the time. But I feel like in its base configuration, the goal of this game is really just to make enough money to buy more expensive tractors so you can drive them. And so that's not necessarily a bad thing, but that's not really a farming simulator. That's a tractor collecting simulator. So I'm really looking to the mod makers, and I'm obviously I don't know them, they don't know me, so it's not like I'm putting pressure on them like, hey guys, hurry up, get these mods done. They'll be done when they're done. But I am, I guess, making the observation that for me anyway, without mods, this game it's fun in that you get to drive around in diggers, but it's sort of grindy. And when I say really, like as soon as I'm done here, we're already spreading lime on this field across the highway. As soon as this combine harvester is done, I'll catch up these little stray bits here, and then I'll spread lime on this field. You saw we had our subsoiler down at field 24, 25, and 26. I'll bring that down here. So as soon as this combine harvester is done, because we don't have seasons anymore, I'll just immediately start again. Hey, buddy. Oh man, look at him bouncing. Makes me want to play some Luda. Roll out. Alright. Now, don't throw the combine harvester. So we turn that off. So yeah, little ticky-tack stuff like the AI being just the same as it ever was. Whatever, I'm okay with that. But I guess the absence of purpose and meaning. Like what are we doing here? I really don't get it. And for me, the way that I play, or at least the way that I was playing on FS19, I do tend to be a lot more structured, and I really want, I played Selby Farm Estates. No, I'm sorry, it was the one after that. It was Upton. I played Upton with seasons, and to get through one full season from buying my first field, planting, well, not even planting, but prepping my first field, to the last crop that I harvested and put away, it was about 50 hours of game time. So it was probably 3 weeks for me to get through an entire harvest, right? And I know most people don't play that way. They really don't, because 50 plus hours, if you play an hour a day, you're talking about a month and a half. If you play 2 hours a day, you're talking about a few weeks to harvest your crops. And I know a lot of people don't play that way. I see YouTubers, particularly the YouTubers that live stream, and they're just running around painting fields. And I'm not bashing them. They've got hundreds of people watching their live stream. I don't even have hundreds of subs, so I'm not putting them down or anything. I'm just saying I don't get it. To just run around. I mean, I did multiplayer in FS17 a couple times, and it was like 8 people just running around mowing grass in the dark, putting it up for silage. Really frantic and kind of pointless, and just, you know, just frantic. People just running around in diggers. So until the modders, I guess, bring it back to what I'm used to, and they may not. Oh, that's another thing. I found a Reddit yesterday, and apparently there are a lot of people that are kind of in the same boat as I am, like, oh, we're so used to FS17. And let me go tangential here. I saw a thread and somebody really lit up FS19. And the response was, now wait a minute. Are you comparing FS19 base game to FS17 base game, or are you comparing FS19 to the FS17 that you were playing a week ago, heavily modded, on a mod map with mod equipment and seasons and everything else? Is it apples to apples? Is it apples to oranges? And that opened up the discussion, and people were, you know, being real that FS17 when it was released was not, there were the same kinds of complaints about FS17 when it was released. It's buggy, it's not much different, it's just a reskin, the same things you're hearing about FS19. But, see, just turning around? Yeah. But there's a difference, and the difference is, you know, I don't want to keep going back to seasons, but seasons is a big deal. So the difference between the release of FS17 and the release of FS19 is we have had seasons, right? We broke the seal. And I think for a lot of players, the game will never be the same without seasons. And it sounds like we may not get seasons. That was the point of that Reddit thread, because the lead programmer for Realismus Modding works for Giants now, and Giants has no plans on implementing seasons. I don't know that the rest of that crew could patch it up without that lead developer's contribution, right? They are the lead programmer. There's a reason for that. It's kind of their baby. So I don't know if we're ever going to see seasons or anything like it for FS19. Now, right before seasons, there was a calendar mod for FS17 that I was using, and basically you can still do whatever you want. So seasons brings in things like, you know, crops won't germinate, the fields get frozen, things like that. This calendar mod did not bring in that depth of functionality. It just told you basically what season it was, and then it was up to you to sort of, you know, honor system, as they say. But at least it gave some framework for what month of the year it is. Maybe that calendar mod will come back, because that's a fairly simple thing to write. But seasons, the rumor is seasons may not ever be in FS19. And then a lot of the other mods that we lean on, GPS, Courseplay, AI Extension, Proceed, there's a couple others that are escaping my my memory at the moment. But a lot of those mods were developed by people that are or were working on cattle and crops. Cattle and crops is intended to be competition for for the FS series. It's, I feel like by the time cattle and crops is done, it's going to be trying to compete with like Farm Simulator 29, but that's a rant for another day. Anyway, with those folks working for a different project, there's a couple reasons why they may not be available to continue making mods for FS19. One is they're too busy, and the other reason is they don't want to help the competition. So it's possible, and I'm not trying to be overly dramatic here, but it's possible this could be like, I don't want to say the end of the line, but it could be that FS19 does not become the FS19 version of FS17, and it's possible that we may find ourselves staying in FS17. Now, I uninstalled mine, but obviously, hopefully, I still own the sim. But yeah, man, it's a weird thing to think about. Oh, I still got to clean up all these little patches right here. It's a weird thing to think about, and, you know, I don't want to say, like, I don't want to get too heavy on you, talk about, like, the inevitability of time and, you know, things like that, but sometimes things just don't work out the way you think they're going to. And there's really, it's just the way it works out. So it could be that we're going to need to stay in FS17, or at least run them parallel for quite a while. And hey. And in a way, that's not that big a deal, but it is unexpected. It really is unexpected. It's not how I thought the FS19 rollout was going to go. I thought it might be problematic. I thought it might be buggy, but to realize that you are not the customer that they are focused on, that you are not the sim gamer that I don't want to say that they don't care, but I said this from the very beginning. I feel like this game, however you want to describe it, I feel like this game is designed for one group of people, and then the modders adapt it to another group of people. So the thing is, the developer is not interested in developing it for that second group of people, and if the modders can't or don't, then what to do. Now, to be fair, I feel like there are some mod makers that they have not needed to step up because other people have. So if someone else created seasons, then you don't need to. But if seasons goes away, perhaps there's some mod maker somewhere that got to go all Thanos. Fine, then I'll do it myself. So who knows? I don't want to. I'm not doom and gloom, but for the moment, it is a little grim. And I knew even under the best of circumstances that it was going to be a while till mod maps came out, which I have to say I don't necessarily understand, because there are plenty of reputable map makers who could have been trusted, I think. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But I feel like there are plenty of reputable mod makers and map makers that could have been trusted to know at least some things about the sim, so that they could have started working on their maps a couple of months ago, and those maps would then be done sooner rather than later. You know what I mean? If they start them 2 months before the game is released, maybe they're ready a month after rather than 3 months. Because as it stands right now, I feel like, I'll keep saying it because it's just the core of the issue here. I feel like the game is designed for other types of players other than me. And that's cool. If they made it for me, their core audience would probably be saying, I feel like this sim is not designed for me. It's designed for some super hardcore realistic player. I just want to come home and, smoke a bowl and drive a tractor. I'm not looking to have this super realistic experience. And they'd be right. So, and that, I guess that brings it full circle to what I was thinking when we first started the video, which is Giant's got to make money, and I don't have any problem with that. And I've said before about other sims, and I'll say it about this one as well. If a developer tries to be all things to all people and ends up shooting himself in the foot, then we don't get any more sims because they go out of business. And I think a good example of that is Cattle and Crops. I feel like Cattle and Crops has really set the bar high for themselves. And unfortunately, it's like they set it so high that they can't get over it. And I just read this the other day. On Steam, somebody said, they had like 25 Steam players for the month in Cattle and Crops. They had an anniversary sale for early access. And as a marketing guy, as a business guy, I have to say, if you're having an anniversary sale for your early access, you're doing it wrong. You should be having a full retail release announcement for your early access anniversary. That game is going to be in development hell forever, and by the time it's released, it's going to be obsolete. So I guess that's the other example, right? That's the anti-example of a group of people that lost sight of the business aspect of their project and focused exclusively on the quality of it and ended up with neither. So if Giants made a game for casual sim farmers and that leaves the serious sim farmers out, so be it. Maybe the modders are able to fix it for us. Maybe they aren't. But either way, this is where we're at today. And it is fun. I'm enjoying myself right now. I would just be enjoying myself a lot more if some of the things that it was really hinted that they would be in FS19. I'd be enjoying myself a lot more if they had actually made it to the game instead of just being rumors. But so it goes. Anyway, we are right at 30 minutes. This is, this is what gameplay in FS19 looks like after I get everything sort of sorted out, figure out what goes where. I don't know how many of these videos that I'll do. There are thousands of people on YouTube doing exactly the same video. So, I don't know. I mean, I might dip in here. I would like to get back to my map. I did buy Field 14 and Field 15. These two were relatively inexpensive. And I'd like to buy 15 and 17. I'd like to plow all these together and plant like cotton or something up here. I don't know. But that's the goal at the moment. So let me see. I think this one is expensive. 137, 213. So we need another 400,000 to get these two. And then, well, we could rent. No, I take that back. We do have a planter that we could put cotton in with, but it's 6 meters. So it would take like, I don't know, probably 150 years to plant that field. And then we'd have to rent the cotton harvester. I don't know. Story for another day. So that's what's going on. You may see some more of these videos. You may not. You know, I don't know. I always say one thing and then at the last minute I'm like, oh, whatever. So we'll see. Don't be surprised either way. Folks, thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Farming Simulator 19 from Ravenport Farm. And we'll see you next time. Take care now.